I want every one of you to remember these three words. Nigerians, we are no more. Southeasterners and Southerners, we cannot become. And Biafrans, we must be.
A servant of the wonderful people of Biafra. We are live and we are direct this very morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are. And we start this very day by making it abundantly clear that the greatest enemy of a black man is the way that we reason. If not that the way we reason is very, very abhorrent, there is no need or reason why we should be suffering and complaining every blessed day without the courage to do something about it.
Welcome, fellow Biafrans, lovers of freedom across the world. I welcome you once again to this amazing program. Wherever you are watching us from, we appreciate you. Please kindly like and share this program to all platforms. Share to family and friends. Share to everyone that is concerned across the world, so that the world will get the true picture of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria against the indigenous people, more especially the United States of Biafran people. In this platform, we bring information to expose the atrocities of Nigerian government and the success made by the Biafran government so far. In this episode, I am going to share with you some mind-blowing video. All you have to do is to pay attention from beginning to end. When we say that Nigerian government is a terrorist government, it is not a blackmail or propaganda. We are not just accusing them. They are complicit directly and indirectly. Follow us on this very program. You are going to see for yourself information coming from their own conventional media to confirm every single accusation we have made. Most time people think that we are speaking out of anger, out of hatred, but not. Watch and see for yourself what happens.
And if you are just joining us, this is VOP This Morning on Voice of the People Television. Now let's go to Benue State. In response to the Rror massacre that claimed over 200 lives, President Bola Tinubu has directed his secretary to the government, Senator George Akume, to form and coordinate a high-level committee aimed at restoring peace in Benue State. This committee, comprising former governors, traditional leaders like the Tautiv and Ochidoma, and key community stakeholders, will meet with the president in Abuja to design actionable strategies to end the violence. During a recent town hall session in Makurdi, Tinubu criticized the delayed arrest following the killings, instructing the police and security chiefs to expedite investigations and enforce justice, while reassuring citizens of the federal government's full support to bring perpetrators to book. Well, despite these efforts, former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi have questioned the timing and sincerity of the president's visit, warning that Tinubu's lack of empathy may undermine the healing process. Well, Farotimi argued it would have been better if the president didn't go, citing that the only impactful remark during the visit came from the Tautiv, who denounced the attacks as calculated genocide against Benue communities. With morning still fresh and survivors living in fear, locals are urging accountability and tangible action to ensure that past atrocities are not repeated. Whereas President Bola Tinubu gets over to Kaduna State for project commissioning amidst criticisms, the president is moving over to Kaduna State, or he's gone to Kaduna State to commission projects and all of that. Well, let's stay with Benue here. And I think there is a video where the president made comments about incidents in Benue State and how human lives should be valued more than that of cows. The producer, you might need to put it on. Let's have a voice of the president saying all that he said during that visit in the hospital.
The value of life, human life, is greater than that of a cow. And it's only when you open the door for conflict that political enemy will come in. political enemies. They don't want you to succeed. Have you just realizing that, Governor?
All right, and that was the president speaking. Some people have said, look, that's a mix of condolence and politics, but we'll get into all of that. As we are joined in the studio here by Mr. Dele Farimo. Now, Dele is a citizen reporter and VOP in-house analyst. We also have Mr. Lawale Kundaya, who is an educationist and public affairs commentator. And we'll be joined virtually by Professor Emmanuel Odue Estue. He's a professor with the Benue State University, Makurdi, and is the immediate past head of the Department of Religion and Cultural Studies. Gentlemen, thanks for being part of the morning show. Good morning, Dele. Good morning, Mr. Kundaya.
It's always my pleasure. Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Prof. Good to have you on VOP this morning.
Hello?
Hello, Prof. I can hear you. Good morning, Professor
Yes,
Emmanuel.
The voice is very, very low. I am not here. Good morning.
Okay, but I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me now?
What I'm trying to say is that the voice is very, I'm not hearing you properly.
Prof, can you hear me now?
Okay, a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for joining us.
I think I'm hearing what you are saying.
Okay, very well then. Thanks for joining us on VOP this morning. I understand that you are somewhere in Benue State, right? Okay. So, and the president has visited after the killing.
I'm in Makurdi, the capital of
the
Benue
capital city. Very well then, very well. It's good to have you, sir. The president just visited Benue State and commiserated with the people. It was more like a condolence, and we all saw what happened in Benue State. Now, the president, while leaving, or after he left, he now set up a committee headed by the former governor, and that committee also includes former governors of Benue State and other people, including the Tortiv and Ochi Idoma, leaders of Benue State. Now, how much of that committee do you think is going to make an impact, given the fact that we have people that have served in government while these problems persisted? Do you think that the committee is going to solve any problem? Meanwhile, they are to move over to Abuja, to meet with the president, to devise actionable strategies that will more like solve the problem. What do you think of that committee that's been set up by the president?
Well, thank you so much for that question. Let me explain to you that we have had committees to investigate killings in Benue State. Some of the committees were initiated by His Excellency governors of Benue State from 2011 to this time. Now, all of these committees made proposals. Proposals are there on the shelf somewhere, dusting up, and nothing has been done. Well, this one too, we want to believe the president that he has a good will for Benue State, and therefore he has inaugurated this committee to look into these issues. But what we are saying is not just a matter of committee. I think we should grow past the level of committee now. There are basic issues that the federal government and the state government are fully aware, and proposals have already been made to these governments. It's just a matter of them implementing the proposals that are there. For instance, there is a prohibition of open grazing law in Benue State since 2017. The government needs to enforce that law, both the federal and state government. We shouldn't be having animals roaming around in Benue State where 99% are farmers and they are sustained by these farming activities or crops.
All right,
So
Professor.
the government needs
Hello,
to
Prof. Can you hear me,
implement
sir?
that law.
Yes, Prof.
Yes,
Prof.
I can
Yes,
hear you.
very well then. I like the fact that you talked about anti-grazing law. But before then, you said that there are issues. Professor, what are the issues fueling the crisis in Benue State? Can you walk us through all of that to the best of your understanding? What are the real issues?
Hello?
Prof, I can hear you,
Hello?
sir. I can hear you.
Hello?
Hello, Prof, I can hear you.
But the last statement you made, I didn't hear it. So
Prof,
that's what I'm
now my question is this.
So that
I like the fact that you talked about the issues. What are the issues fueling
your last statement, please? If you wouldn't mind, you can pardon me.
Yes, I get you. What are the issues fueling the crisis in Benue State? Can you walk us through all of that? What are the real issues in Benue State that is fueling the crisis, the killings?
Well, Prof, if you can hear us, I think where you were initially, we had better reception. So you can do us a favor of returning to where you were. I just hope that you can hear us clearly. We really love to have this conversation with you since you are on ground in Benue State. So if you can do us the favor, return to the location you were because the reception was a whole lot better. I know you're moving around because you're trying to get the clear reception so you can hear us, but we can hear you. We can hear you. So if you heard the question asked by my colleague, please just go ahead.
Okay, so what was...
Hello, Prof. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, now my question is
Yes, I am hearing you.
Okay, very well then. Very well. Now, you said that there are issues. I would like for you to walk us through the issues. What are the issues fueling the crisis in Benue State? Because you also made mention of the anti-grazing law and that animals should not be roaming the streets. What are the issues in Benue State? Hello, Prof. Can you hear me, sir? Okay,
hello,
I think
Professor.
we might have to. Sorry, Moses. We might need to take time to fix all of that, your connection, before we come back to you. Let's come back to the studio here. Mr. Dele Fanimo, the president has set up a committee, and the committee is made up of former governors, the cultural leaders, the traditional rulers in Benue State. Now, like the professor said, this is not the first time that committees have been set up. There are reports that are gathering dust, in the shelves. Government offices, both at the national and at the state level. What is the import of another committee being set up? Especially given the fact that these people have to go to Abuja to meet with the president and all of that. Do you think that it's going to solve any problem?
For me, it's just a ritual. And most times when issues like this come up, the route is to set up committees, and they tend to meet, provide solutions that nobody ever implements. We have had plethora of committees, reports that nobody has touched. Even the national conference, the Constituent Assembly and all that, up to now, nobody has even bothered to revisit some of those committees' reports. And I don't see this one going to being an exception to what we've always had. I think for me, we don't need to paper over this. What we should expect from government and what we are expecting from government is to take decisive actions. There are pointers to why these people are attacking, and there are pointers to who are behind this. And if all we gather from reports and from interviews of people that are locals in that area is anything to go by, then it was clear, according to a video that we all watched, that these people took off from a village in Nasarawa to perpetrate this act, which means they were never locals. So that puts paid to any insinuation that these people were fighting over communal land. These are external aggressors. Because if they were to be part of the communities, they would have been located around one or two communities fighting against the other community. So that has negated any proposal or any idea of these are our people fighting against us. Now, it was also alleged that some soldiers in the military were also part of this gang that went to destroy those villages. Apart from that, these people were allegedly trained in Nasarawa. So, is it the committee led by SGM that has other responsibilities of government as the clearinghouse of the current government that will now abandon its duty post and begin to find solution to Benue's problem? Or is it the traditional ruler that will leave his palace to chase after these marauders?
Well, the Chief of Defense Staff did say that members of the community, if some members of the community provided accommodation to the attackers, gave them food, and gave them some, the women, but how do you react to that coming from the Chief of Defense Staff without pointing to anybody being arrested?
You see, sometimes when people we expect to have risen above certain foibles begins to exhibit this kind of traits, you would ask yourself, how did these people get to that position? How could you tell me, how can you now tell me as Chief of Defense Staff that Benue is a flashpoint? It's been a flashpoint over the years. And strange people came into that community and some other communities that were not part of that community, and you got wind of it, you didn't send your intelligence corps to investigate. The fact that they mingle with the community, they may have come for some other things, ostensibly pretending to be coming for another thing, maybe even supporting the community to do their own recce. And at that point, you are supposed to also go in there and find out if you have that foreknowledge, if you have that intel that some people are infiltrating communities that are not members of these communities, and you provide them according to their age bracket, the language they speak, and the modus of coming to that village. But none of that was done. Intelligence is not gathered in the city centers, especially in a place where they are prone to attacks by foreigners. So, all right, the Chief of Defense Staff is just telling us that there is intelligence failure.
Okay, let's go to Benin, where we have Comrade Bobby Obayowana. Comrade, good morning once again. Good morning to you. We haven't established communication yet. Good morning to you, Comrade. Well, I hope you can hear me so we get into this conversation without delay. Okay, I can see you, Comrade. Good morning to you. Now, I have a bit of a problem hearing you, but I hope that can be fixed so we can take your contribution to the program. But my question is, it borders on the creation of a committee to look into the crisis in Rivers State, committee comprising former governors. Now, these were governors who, some of them, during their time, faced insecurity in the state. What do you think they'll be bringing to the table? What solution will they be bringing at this time that they were not able to implement during their time as helmsmen of the state? You might need to unmute your microphone so we can take your audio.
For me, what we are seeing is part of the political rhetorics that not just the good people of Nigerians are tired of, but generally the majority of Nigerians are tired of. Committees have been consistently set up in Benue State from as far back as 2011 till date. None of those reports have reflected any improvement in the security architecture of the good people of Benue State. Now, His Excellency has set up another committee again that is to be chaired by the Secretary to the Federal Government, and the former governor of Benue State, George Akume. For me, this committee can only prove us wrong if it does not fall under the category of the previous political rhetorics that Nigerians are tired of. Because the problem of Benue State is no longer about consistently setting up committees that don't give us reports that reflect practical intelligence reports. There is no security organogram to effectively marshal out some of the findings from these reports. In fact, most of these reports are not even known. I could remember what the president said when he said that if the current Benue State governor gives opportunity for political enemies to come into the state, that they will trample his administration and destroy the security architecture as a result. And that is bordering on the political competence of the governor of Benue State just now. The good people of Benue State decided to give their political patrimony and mandate to a reverend father who before now was used to serving mass in a Catholic church. Now, expecting him to perform the constitutional requirements and fundamental duty of protecting the lives and property of the good people of Benue State. However, this reverend father, or should I say political reverend father now, is now beginning to show telltale signs of incompetence in terms of handling the security, architectural affairs of the good people of Benue State. We are not about committees here. Let the committees reflect the type of reality that the good people of Benue State want to be part of. And that is
the man who happens to be the governor of Benue State, being a priest, being the challenge, Comrade Bobby, you said something about him. I'm talking about High Saint Aliyah being a priest, and that was actually what made him to be incompetent about manning that position. Can you help us walk through the persons who have been governors of Benue State up until this particular time? We have the likes of Otom, we have Soswan, and we know that when Otom was there, was one who had the first grave massacre in that particular state. He wasn't a priest, he was just a lay person, yet that issue actually happened during that particular time he was there. Are we limited it to the qualification of someone being the governor of a state to what we're having in this country as a challenge? Let's also take a broader picture. Nigeria as a nation. We have had people who were Christians in office. We've had Muslims also in office. We've had the persons who maybe we call them Ibile also in office. And then we know things were not really working the way it's supposed to. Are we limiting people's qualification or competence nature now to what they have, or maybe their religious practice and that?
Not at all. What I'm saying is that out of moral suasion, these people felt that the conventional politicians that they were used to hit at before now had failed them. And as such, they decided to collectively say that since this man reflects the moral competence of Christendom and generally the majority's expectations of the good people of Benue State, that was why they voted him. But now, the man is appearing to be more politically handicapped in recent times. And for me, it calls for urgent concerns, it calls for urgent concerns, it calls for urgent worries. This man, see, the duty of any governor, whether a Christian or a Muslim.
When Tor of Cleveland was talking to the president, he made mention of a particular thing. He said that people have been, watering down the happenings in River State by making it not to be, the way it should be, by, misplacing the characters and all that, And then he went further to talk about that becoming a genocidal movement. He also pointed out to the finger that it was not just in Benue that this massacre is happening. In Plateau State also, it's happening. And then they have tagged this to be ethnic cleansing. It is not communal clashes. It is not, no longer from a head of clashes. From some witnesses, we learned that we have security personnel also join the people who are doing this genocidal attack in Benue State at this point in time. What then do you expect a governor in the state, whom you and I know does not really have control of all the political apparatus in Nigeria at this point in time, to do, that the president himself, as #1 man in Nigeria, cannot do, to stop Boko Haram from killing people in Borno State, stop people from killing people in Taraba, in Katsina, in Plateau, and back to Benue, where we're having as a discussion now?
Governor Ali to do is to resort to changing his security tactics and restructuring his security apparatus. Security is local anywhere, any day, anytime in the world. He should also adopt technological means to improve intelligence gathering and to better bring sanity to the security architecture of Benue State. All the flashpoints, all the entry and exit points should be consistently manned with security operatives. And he should give a directive. He's the chief security officer of the state the last time I checked. The primary responsibility of him being the governor of Benue State is to secure the lives of the people. He should show capacity and competence.
Comrade, just one patient, then I'll bring it back to the studio. Now, when you talk about the governor of Benue State being the security of the state, you and I also know that according to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Comrade Bobby Obayowan, that the president actually is the one who can, I'm not talking about, not the president now. Now, the IGP of police is the one who will give orders to the police that they have, the commissioner of police that they have in states. And also, we have the COAS being the one that will give orders also to military personnel that we have. Also, in all states, they obey the last order from their national or their headquarters, not from the governors, as the case may be. It happens all in all states. And then this actually has turned out to be the challenge, or what makes Nigerians to talk about state policing. We don't have state policing in Nigeria. What we have is federal police. And according to Obotokun yesterday, sometime during last week or early this week, they say that creating of other police stations or other police, especially state police in Nigeria, is not constitutional. So how then do you expect the governor to issue out these orders and go to the flashpoints, go there and, how do you think he will be, do you think at this point in time that the governor will be obeyed when he come up to give those rules or those orders?
Work closely with the Inspector General of Police. I am happy that the governor is in good terms with the presidency. And I am happy that Benue State is also an APC state. That governor, it is his duty to bring the urgency of security concerns to the front burner of the IG of police. And the governor, as the chief security officer of the state, has the executive capacity to put all security agencies in check. As far as that state is concerned, the commissioner of police, though takes order from the IGP of police, should be given more pressure by the governor that the lives of the good people of Benue State are at stake. That is how to show capacity as a governor. That is how to show competence as a leader. The onus lies on him. Everything still falls back on his table. We should not hide on. We should not hide on the fact that the security organogram of the country rests within the purview of the IGP of police in terms of the highest powers, and that the federal government is in charge of most security activities. In Edo State, where I come from, we had a former governor of Edo State that performed wonders in our security architecture. He established the local command and control center that was a historical feat in the annals of our democracy. In Edo State, our security architecture was very effective under Governor Godwin Obaseki. He worked closely with the Commissioner of Police in his time and ensured that all security agencies were put on their toes. He has the executive privilege. He has the executive immunity to call for
All right,
security
thank you very much,
concerns,
Comrade
to call
Bobby
for stakeholders meeting,
Obayewana. Thank
and
you
to
for your
employ technology.
contribution. Thank you very much for your contribution. We do appreciate your contribution. Now let's bring it to the studio here. Let's bring it to the studio where we have Lawale Kunaya. Now, just a few questions before we go back to Professor. We are hearing that some people in the camp are not having it easy. In fact, a few lives have been lost while in the IDP camp, not because of insurgency, not because of any attack, but because of hunger attack. There's no food, so people are complaining. What has been set aside? We hear that some 853 billion naira was set aside earlier in the year for things like this, people in IDP camps, for them to be taken care of. How do you react to the fact that regardless of this and regardless of the activities of NEMA and SEMA, we still have people starving to death, as it were?
Yes. Now, there are two reasons to that. One, there are always the crisis when you have internally displaced people. There are always the crisis because you have taken them away to a secluded area and you are feeding them there. So there will be crisis because you can't feed them the way, you can't take care of them the way they were from where they were coming from. So there will be crisis. Second, we know that in Nigeria here, corruption is dining and whining with the government. So anything you set aside, it will disappear so many places. You can see even in when it comes to correction centers, you see how much they say they are used to feed the people in correction centers. You see what they are going. Even in police college, you go to police college, go and see what the way. So things like that are bound to happen. But the way forward is for government to give a decisive marching order to the security. Now, the government, I said when the president got there, I asked, I don't see any arrest, and nobody could answer that question. The next thing is for him to give them a timeline in which those people will be returned.
Should the president have given a marching order, seeing that in itself is the duty of security agencies to arrest?
That's
when things like this.
So he has shown their shortfall.
Should they have waited for a marching order?
What I've said is the president has shown their shortfall by asking that question. Now the next thing is for you to give them a decisive order in which, if nothing happens by that time, then they lose their job. That's the way it's done in a country that is serious. You give them a match. In 1 week, I want these people to return back to their land. Because if you say you set up a committee, this thing is going on all across the country. It's not.
Do you have faith in the committee?
No.
Why?
That's why I'm talking about the machine. How can you give a committee when the people are attacked? They
Why
are
don't you
attacked.
have faith? These are people that have ruled, that have governed the state, the majority of them. And these are stakeholders.
You are moving to the political realm.
They might just prefer a solution.
No, you have moved it to the political realm. They will play politics with it now. Or committee will sit down. They will travel. They will do this. They will be looking for money to spend. After that, they will now type the document and put it and bind it and give it to the president. The president will start looking at it before we now start implementing. Before we look at the timeline. And eventually will not say anything. Is that what we need now? When people are internally displaced, it's a marching order. Within a week or within 2 weeks, I want these people to return back to their land safely. And the military will have the security will have no choice other than to do the orders of the president. That's what is happening now. You give them a march, you give them a timeline because you have asked a vital question.
All right.
And they have not answered it. Then the next thing is for you to give them the last order. If they don't obey this time, then they lose. You change them.
All right, then let's.
After watching this video, now you understand very well what we mean when we say that Nigeria is irredeemable. When we call for the disintegration of Nigeria, you will now understand. There is no plan and there is no way Nigeria will survive in the dish that it is today. And Nigeria continues to deepen into more failure, into more disaster, into more insecurity, and into more economic instability. The earlier we begin to think wisely and focus on the solution, which is disintegration, the better for all of us. It is not a selfish request. It is not just about the Biafran. It is about humanity. If you want to save humanity, you must support the disintegration of the contraption called Nigeria. Divide the country along people that have same value system. People that have same value system. The Oduduwa people, the Middle Belt, the Northerners, and the Southeastern and the Biafrans. That is the only solution. No matter how you try to run away from it, it will continue to haunt you. Thank you, and let's keep watching. Go to comment section and share your comments.